What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to go over 3 business line of credit, no documentation in the year 2024. What are the data points involved, and what is the best way to go about it when it comes to the application process, the requirements that they ask, and what to be aware of before even submitting an application. This is something I'm super excited about talking about. And if you guys don't know, I do run my own funding company. We have over 15 employees. So if you guys are interested in learning a little bit more about our content, make sure to click on and watch the other videos as part of my channel. With that being said, let's head to my screen and go over the top 3 banks that I recommend for a business line of credit with no documentations. All right, guys. So before we even go into the first bank and do a review and breakdown process on how the application work, it's best to really understand in full details on how a business line of credit work and how it's a little bit different from your traditional business credit card or your personal credit cards that you typically apply for, right? So in short, a business line of credit allows you to borrow up to a certain limit based on your approval and only pay interest on the money that you borrow. Similar to how a credit card works, you then repay the funds and then you continue to draw from that line, right? So business line of credit can be used for a number of short-term needs, such as managing your cash flow, buying inventory, or covering payroll. And with a line of credit, you can access to a set amount of capital, let's just say 100,000, and then draw from the funds as needed. You only pay interest on the funds that you draw, and you then pay the funds over time, typically on a weekly or monthly schedule, right? So essentially, the way that you should look at it is once you get approved for a line of credit, is basically a separate business checking account that you can draw from anytime. The money is already deposited, and then you, based on the payback period, you need to make weekly payments or monthly payments on the interest of that line of credit that's been drawn from. Okay, so with that being said, let's go into the first bank, which is with American Express, right? So American Express, one of my favorite banks. I have multiple business credit cards, multiple personal credit cards, and they are pretty much relationship based, meaning that I wouldn't really recommend, if you don't have a relationship with Amex, to go ahead and apply, because the chances of you getting approved is pretty slim to none. It is recommended that you start with a lower tier product with their credit cards, build up the relationship, and then apply for their line of credit. And that's from my own experience, as well as some of the clients that we work with as well. As you can see, their lines of credit can offer sizes between 2,000 upwards to 250,000, right? So that's pretty cool. And then based on the requirement, you can see just have to be 18 years old, have a business for at least 1 year, and have a FICO score of at least 660 at the time of application. Again, this is your FICO score, not what you're seeing on Credit Karma. Credit Karma shows your Advantage score. To check your FICO score, you can go on Experian.com, sign up for 3 bureaus, the 3 credit bureau access, or you can go to myfico.com as well, and then have an average monthly revenue of at least $3,000. Now, for this one, obviously, they are going to verify, right? What they use is called Plaid. Plaid is a fintech company that when you start submitting this application and when you fill out the application for this line of credit, they will ask you to connect your business checking account or any sort of accounts that would sort of back up the type of projected revenue or revenue that you're stating on the application. So just be mindful of that. And the last thing that you want is for American Express to send a 4506T, which is a permission form to allow them to grab data from the IRS on behalf of your business to verify the income or the tax return that was sent over to the IRS in this case, right? So be truthful to what you're stating. If you guys are putting your personal income in that case, you guys can't put your household income. But again, just be realistic and make sure it sort of matches, whatever the tax return is, just in case it does happen, right? So just be a little bit mindful of that. And that's, the reason why they're increasing their security or verifications, because a lot of things going on in this world where people are not truthful and many times with their online applications. And that's really, really risky to these banks in the first place, right? So with that being said, what I would recommend is make sure you have your tax EIN number, your SSN, the industry of the business, an estimated annual gross revenue for the business for this year. Make sure it's as realistic as possible for this year with the following bank statements that you would need to sync over to American Express, right? Application should be pretty smooth. I see approvals within, less than 2 hours. I see approvals that needs additional verification and documentation, and that can take up to 2 or 3 days in that case. But as long as you have a relationship with American Express for over, I would say 6 months to a year with their business products, then you should be good to apply for their line of credit as long as you meet those requirements, right? Okay, so let's head into bank number 2, which is Fundbox. So if you guys don't know Fundbox is an online lender providing flexible working capital for all type of businesses, from early startups to well-established companies. And a lot of times when you apply for these sort of online lenders, typically it's gonna come down to revenue based, meaning that they're gonna be very similar to how American Express business line of credit application work. They're also using Plaid, which is basically going to ask you to sync your business checking account to verify the deposit and the type of projected income that you're stating for the business in this case, right? So let's kind of like work our way down. This is a bank, or this is an online lender that we helped multiple of our clients with. And then I also have like a 30,000-40,000 line of credit, business line of credit with them. The application was pretty simple. I just signed up for our account, connected all of my business checking accounts under that business that I'm, applying for. And then within less than 2 or 3 minutes, I was approved, right? And then it comes with 2 different options. Number one, it can come in a week. What's it called? Yeah, there's a 12-week term option, or there's a 24-week term option, right? So depending on which one you pick, and those rates can range from like anywhere between 5% upwards to 11 to 12%. And then there is weekly payments that's involved, meaning the moment that you draw from this line of credit, then the weekly payment's gonna start coming in, as compared to other banks where it's more on a monthly basis, right? So let's kind of scroll down to understand a little bit more of how it works. Quick application, quick and easy. So that is correct. Fast access to fund. The moment that I was approved, I can already draw from that line of credit. I just connected my business checking account, or which, business account I want to deposit the line of credit to, or the amount of money that I'm drawing from. And they do offer, I wouldn't say it's necessary flexible repayment terms. It just seems like, regardless of how much you get approved for, between 12 weeks or the 24 weeks term, it still require a weekly payment that you have to make back to Fundbox in this case, right? So yeah, I will recommend anyone with at least a minimum of 680 plus credit score to apply for it. And I do recommend that as long as you have a 6-month-old business. I think I was speaking with one of their account managers. They do look for businesses that are over 6 months in this case to qualify. 6 months, and then as well as a 680 plus credit score. Funding is ready as quickly as the moment that you submit an application and you get approved. There is no prepayment penalties or hidden fees, and it's pretty much available nationwide, meaning across all different states, you can apply for it, right? So a couple of things to notice. Make sure that you don't have too much inquiries on your credit report, because they are very inquiry sensitive. I think with at least 2 or 3 of the clients or business owners that we worked with in the past, they were declined for it with great credit. And the reason why is because they've been applying for way too many credit in just a short period of time. So they are inquiry sensitive when it comes to that, right? But as long as you meet all the other requirements, as long as you have your business checking account that you can sync over to their software, then the application process is fairly smooth. And I would recommend going for it, right? So give it a try today. And then with that being said, let's head over to the next bank. Okay, so the last bank that we're going to do a review on is going to be Wells Fargo. I'm sure a lot of you guys haven't really expected that I'm going to talk about Wells Fargo, since, I'm a huge, hater, I would say, when it comes to how they operate and their products in general, but they stepped it up, right? I'm not sure if you guys saw their Signify credit card, their business credit card, but they've been handing out 30, 50,000 limits as long as you have a relationship with them. So similar to their business line of credit, it is relationship based. We do have individuals that have a 2-year minimum relationship with Wells Fargo, meaning that they have a checking account with them on the business side. You don't have to really deposit too much money. There's no, monthly deposit minimum that you need to hit. But for that, for the sake of example, one of our clients, he has a $50 deposit in that checking account. He was using Chase as his operating account for the business, but he did have that relationship maintained with Wells Fargo for over 2 years. He then went to his banker, applied for a line of credit for 50,000 or below, and he was automatically approved the next day, and it showed up on his account, right? So what I'm trying to say here is, as long as you have a relationship with them for 2 years minimum, and I will recommend, if you guys don't, to start developing that relationship, open up a business checking deposit account, and then put a little bit of money in it. Just build that relationship over time. Make sure that you're in their internal system. But for the people that actually is a Wells Fargo, business business customer, you guys can go ahead and apply for a line of credit. So they offer two different types of line of credit: businesses that are over 2 years and businesses that are under 2 years in this case. And typically what I would recommend, the threshold is going to be 50,000 if you're trying to apply for a line of credit. That's not going to require any documentations, meaning you don't have to submit your bank statements or tax returns, right? So the individual that we're talking about, he then went to his banker, submitted a line of credit application directly, or you can also do it online. Request for 50,000. 50,000 is the threshold. Anything above that, you are, putting yourself in that position to possibly have to submit documentation in the first place, right? So the beauty of Wells Fargo's line of credit is that they are pretty competitive in terms of rates, meaning their rates are lower than American Express and then as well as Fundbox. And their revolving credit line has no scheduled annual review, which is good. No collateral is required and no prepayment penalties as well, right? And the best part about it, compared to American Express and Fundbox, is instead of making weekly payments or required to make weekly payments based on the amount that's been drawn from that line of credit, you're only subject to making monthly payments in that case, right? So if you're someone that's operating a brick and mortar, or you have heavy, inventory turnaround time, then it will give you that flexibility, because instead of making 4 payments a month to pay off that line of credit, you're only making 1 payment towards the end of the month, right? So with that being said, I will conclude pretty much the top 3 banks that I recommend. And keep in mind, these are the banks that I personally see to be the easiest to apply for. I have access to all of the line of credit between those 3 banks. And if you guys do enjoy this video, enjoy these sort of content, and want me to review, or my team to review, any sort of other funding products in the marketplace, make sure to drop that comment down below. With that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.